The boxes were piled on the curb like garbage. Furniture I recognized, the cream-colored sofa I'd helped her pick out, the oak dining table from her wedding, all sitting in the July heat while a sheriff's deputy stood guard. And there she was, my daughter, crying on the front lawn of a house she could no longer afford, holding my grandson while her husband loaded their car with whatever would fit. I should have stopped. A mother is supposed to stop. Instead, I pressed down on the accelerator of my brand-new Mercedes, the leather seats cool against my back, and I drove right past. I didn't wave. I didn't slow down. I didn't even look at her directly, though I felt her eyes follow my car down that street. 4 months earlier, she'd told me I'd be homeless soon anyway. 4 months earlier, she'd laughed about it. My name is Diane Matthews, and I'm 68 years old. I spent 43 years as a registered nurse, 36 of those in the same hospital in Charlotte, North Carolina. I raised 2 children on my own after my husband died when they were 6 and 8. I worked double shifts, missed school plays, skipped vacations, and went years without buying myself anything that wasn't on clearance. Everything I did, every sacrifice I made, was for them. This is the story of how my daughter tried to destroy me and how I watched her destroy herself instead. My daughter's name is Ashley. She was always my challenging child. My son, Brandon, was easy, respectful, hardworking, grateful. But Ashley came into this world demanding and never stopped. As a toddler, she wanted what she wanted when she wanted it. As a teenager, she stole money from my purse and lied about it to my face. As an adult, she expected me to fund her lifestyle while treating me like an inconvenience. I made excuses for years. She's finding herself. She's going through a phase. She'll mature when she has her own children. I enabled her because that's what mothers do, isn't it? We love our children even when they make it difficult. Ashley married Kevin when she was 24. He worked in sales, drove a flashy car he couldn't afford, and had the kind of confidence that masks insecurity. They were perfect for each other, both obsessed with appearances, both living beyond their means, both convinced the world owed them something. I'll never forget their wedding. I'd saved $12,000 to help pay for it. $12,000 I'd scraped together from overtime shifts and skipping meals. Ashley wanted everything perfect. The venue, the flowers, the dress, the honeymoon. When I handed her the check, she looked at it and said, "That's it?" Not thank you. Not I appreciate this. Just disappointment that I hadn't given more. I should have seen it then. But I didn't. I just smiled and told her to have a beautiful day. The next 15 years followed a pattern. Ashley would call when she needed something. Money for a new car. Money when Kevin lost another job. Money for my grandson Tyler's private school tuition. Money for their mortgage when they bought a house they couldn't afford. Money, money, money. And I gave it. Every time. I'd worked my entire life and I'd saved carefully. I had a decent retirement fund, no debt, and owned my home outright. A small 3-bedroom ranch I'd paid off 10 years early by working every holiday for the bonus pay. Brandon tried to warn me. He lived in Denver, working as an engineer, married to a wonderful woman named Michelle. They had 2 kids of their own. "Mom," he'd say during our weekly phone calls, "you need to stop giving Ashley money. She's never going to learn. You're enabling her." I'd defend her. She's struggling. The economy is hard. Kevin's having bad luck with jobs. She's trying her best. But deep down, I knew he was right. Ashley was 39 years old and had never stood on her own 2 feet. Every time life got hard, she came to me, and I let her. 2 years ago, I started having health problems. Chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue that made my 12-hour shifts feel impossible. After months of tests, the diagnosis came. I needed heart surgery. Not immediately life-threatening, but serious enough that my cardiologist strongly recommended I retire and reduce my stress. I was 66. I'd planned to work until 70, but my body had other plans. The surgery went well, but recovery was slow. For the first time in my adult life, I couldn't work. I couldn't pick up extra shifts. I couldn't pad my savings account. I was living on my retirement income, which was adequate but not generous. I'd be fine if I was careful, but there was no more cushion for Ashley's crises. I called her 3 days after I got home from the hospital. My chest was still tender. I could barely walk to the mailbox, and I was lonely. I thought maybe she'd come visit, bring Tyler, help me around the house. "I can't, Mom," she said. "We're completely swamped. Kevin's got this huge deal closing, and Tyler has soccer tournaments every weekend. Maybe next month." Next month came. She didn't visit. She didn't call to check on me. But she did call to ask if I could loan them $8,000. Kevin had lost another job, and they were behind on bills. For the first time in my life, I said no. "What do you mean, no?" Ashley's voice turned sharp. "Mom, we're desperate. We could lose the house." "I just had heart surgery, Ashley. I'm living on a fixed income now. I can't afford to help." "You have that big retirement fund. I know you do. You always said you were saving for emergencies. Well, this is an emergency. My retirement fund is for my retirement, for my medical expenses, for my future care if I need it. So you're just going to let us lose everything? Your grandson is going to be homeless because you're selfish." Selfish. That word hit me like a slap. 43 years of work, raising 2 kids alone, giving her everything I had, and I was selfish. "Ashley, I've given you over $60,000 in the last 10 years. I've helped you over and over, but I can't anymore. I have to take care of myself now." She hung up on me, didn't call back for 3 weeks. When she finally did call, it wasn't to apologize. It was to tell me they were filing for bankruptcy, and it was my fault. If I'd just helped them, they wouldn't be in this position. I tried to explain again. I tried to make her understand, but she wasn't listening. In her mind, I was the villain. I had money and refused to share it. Therefore, everything bad that happened to her was my responsibility. 6 months passed. I recovered slowly. Brandon called every week. He sent flowers. He flew out twice to check on me. Ashley sent one text, "Hope you're feeling better." Then last November, everything changed. My furnace died. It was 15 years old, and the repair company said it would cost more to fix than replace. A new furnace would run about $8,000. I had the money in savings, but it would deplete my emergency fund significantly. I was stressed about it, sitting at my kitchen table, going over quotes from different companies, when my phone rang. It was Ashley. "Hey, Mom, so we've been thinking. Kevin's mother is getting older and she needs help. We're thinking about selling our house and buying a bigger place where she can live with us, but we need help with the down payment." I took a breath. "Ashley, I can't help with that. My furnace just died and I need to replace it." "How much is a furnace?" "About $8,000. She laughed. Actually laughed. "Mom, you don't need $8,000 for a furnace. You can get a space heater for like $30. We're talking about a house, a real investment. We need $20,000 for the down payment." "I don't have $20,000 to give you." "Yes, you do. You have your retirement fund. You could take out a loan against it." "No, Ashley, I can't, and I won't." The silence on the other end was cold. When she spoke again, her voice had changed. "You know what, Mom? You're going to regret this. You're going to end up old and alone in some nursing home, and don't expect me to take care of you. You're choosing money over family, and that's something you'll have to live with." "I've never chosen money over family. I've worked myself to the bone for my family." "Yeah? Well, it wasn't enough. It was never enough. And now, when we actually need you, you're useless." I stayed quiet. What could I say? She was building up to something. I could feel it. "You know what Kevin said? He said you'll probably be homeless yourself within a few years, living on Social Security in some dump. He said you'll come begging to live with us, and we're going to say no. You'll be homeless soon anyway, so what does it matter if we get help now or later? At least we're trying to build something." My hands were shaking. "Ashley, how can you say that to me?" "Because it's true. You're old, Mom. You're sick. You've got no money and no plan. We're the ones with our lives ahead of us. We deserve help more than you deserve to sit in your little paid-off house pretending you're comfortable. Get out." The words came from somewhere deep. "Get out of my life. Don't call me. Don't ask me for anything. You want to cut me off? Fine. Consider it done." Oh, please, you'll come crawling back when you need something. I won't, I promise you, I won't. And don't expect anything from me ever again. No money, no babysitting, no grandmother visits. You want to pretend I'm already dead? Then I'm dead to you. I hung up, and then I cried harder than I'd cried since my husband's funeral. Brandon called the next morning. Apparently, Ashley had called him, crying, saying I'd attacked her for no reason and cut her off because she couldn't loan me money for my furnace. She twisted the entire story. "Mom, tell me what really happened," Brandon said. I told him everything, every word. He was quiet for a long time. "I'm sorry, Mom. I'm so sorry. I tried to warn you about her, but I never thought she'd go this far. She said I'd be homeless. She laughed about it. She's said a lot of things she can't take back. The question is, what are you going to do now?" What was I going to do? I was 66 years old, recovering from heart surgery, with a dead furnace and a broken heart. I felt defeated, used up, worthless. But then something shifted. Maybe it was anger. Maybe it was survival instinct. Maybe it was just exhaustion from carrying other people's weight for 43 years. I decided I was going to take care of myself for once. First, I bought the furnace. The cheapest reliable model I could find, installed by a company that gave me a senior discount. That took care of my immediate need. Then I sat down and really looked at my finances. I'd been living like I was poor, even though I wasn't. I had $240,000 in my retirement fund. My house was paid off. My car was old but reliable. My pension and Social Security combined gave me $3,000 a month. No debt, no mortgage, no dependents. I didn't need to live like I was destitute. I'd just been trained to give everything away. I started small. I joined a gym with a senior program. I started swimming every morning. The doctor said it was good for my heart. I bought new clothes that actually fit instead of wearing scrubs and old jeans. I went to a salon and got my hair colored properly instead of using box dye from the drugstore. I felt human again. Then I did something bigger. I'd always wanted to learn piano, but I'd never had time or money. I found a teacher who specialized in adult beginners. I bought a used upright piano from a nice family who was moving. Twice a week I went to my lesson. Every day I practiced. The music filled my empty house with something other than loneliness. Brandon noticed the change during one of our calls. "Mom, you sound different, happier." "I think I am. I think I'm finally living for myself." "Good, it's about time." Ashley didn't call. Not for Christmas, not for my birthday in January, not at all. Sometimes I miss Tyler, my grandson, but I'd learned that Ashley used him as a weapon. If I wanted to see Tyler, I had to pay the price, literally and emotionally. So I let that go, too. By March, I'd lost 20 pounds from swimming and eating better. I had energy I hadn't felt in years. My cardiologist was pleased with my recovery. "Whatever you're doing, keep doing it," she said. I decided to do something I'd never done before. I hired a financial advisor. Her name was Patricia, and she was about my age, sharp as a tack and no nonsense. "You're in better shape than you think," she said after reviewing everything. "You've been conservative with your money, which is smart, but you're also not taking advantage of some opportunities." She helped me restructure my retirement investments, better returns, lower fees. She showed me how to budget for small luxuries without touching my principal. She even suggested I think about what I wanted to do with my life, not just how to survive it. "You could live another 30 years, Diane. That's a long time to just exist. What do you actually want?" I'd never been asked that before. What did I want? Not what my kids needed, not what my patients required, not what my husband would have wanted. What did I want? The answer surprised me. I wanted to travel. I'd spent my entire life in North Carolina except for one trip to Disney World when the kids were little. I'd never seen the Grand Canyon. I'd never been to New York City. I'd never been on a cruise or to Europe or anywhere that wasn't a medical conference in a hotel near the hospital. "So travel," Patricia said simply. "You can afford it." That's when I made a decision some might call petty. Some might call it frivolous, but it felt right to me. I was driving a 12-year-old Toyota Camry. It ran fine, but it was dinged up, The seats were stained, and every time I got in it, I felt like that worn-out nurse who never had anything nice. I wanted something that made me feel successful, something that said I'd worked hard and earned something beautiful. I went to a Mercedes dealership, just to look, just to see what it felt like to be in that world. The salesman's name was Robert, and he didn't treat me like an old lady wasting his time. He showed me a certified pre-owned E-Class in silver. 2 years old, low mileage, immaculate condition. "It's a beautiful car," I said, running my hand over the hood. "Take it for a test drive." I did, and the moment I merged onto the highway, feeling that smooth acceleration and sitting in that perfect leather seat with the sunroof open, I knew. I bought it, paid cash, drove it off the lot that same day. Brandon was shocked when I sent him a picture. "Mom, that's amazing. You deserve it." I felt guilty for about 10 minutes. Then I decided I'd spent enough of my life feeling guilty for having anything nice. The guilt was gone. What remained was joy. Charlotte isn't a huge city, but it's not small either. Still, I started seeing Ashley around town, or rather, she started seeing me. The first time was at a Target. I was buying groceries, and I saw her 2 aisles over. She saw me too. I waited for her to approach, but she just stared for a moment, then turned her cart and walked away. The second time was at a restaurant. I'd joined a book club through the library, and we were having lunch after our meeting. Ashley was there with Kevin and Tyler. I was laughing at something Patricia, who'd become a real friend, had said when I looked up and locked eyes with Ashley across the restaurant. She looked terrible, tired, stressed, older than 39. I didn't go over to say hello. Neither did she. The third time was in my Mercedes. I was stopped at a red light, and Ashley pulled up next to me in their Lexus SUV, the one they'd bought with money I'd loaned them. She looked over, saw the Mercedes, saw me in my nice clothes with my styled hair. Her face went through a series of expressions: shock, confusion, anger. The light turned green. I drove away. I didn't know it then, but their world was falling apart. I heard about it through Brandon first. He'd heard it from his wife, who'd heard it from a mutual friend. Kevin had been fired from his job for falsifying sales reports, not laid off, fired for cause, which meant no severance, no unemployment, nothing. They were drowning in debt. The Lexus had been repossessed. Credit cards were maxed out. The mortgage was 3 months behind. Part of me felt satisfaction, the part that remembered her cruelty, her laugh when she said I'd be homeless. That part wanted her to feel what she'd tried to make me feel. But another part of me, the mother part, felt sad. Not enough to help. Not enough to rescue her. But sad that it had come to this. She called me on a Tuesday in late June. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. "Mom." Her voice was small, defeated. "Ashley." "Mom, I need help. We're going to lose the house. They've filed for foreclosure. We have 30 days. I know I said some terrible things, but I'm desperate. Please, for Tyler's sake." I took a breath. The old Diane would have caved, would have drained her savings to fix this, would have sacrificed herself on the altar of motherhood one more time. But I wasn't the old Diane anymore. "No, Ashley. Mom, please, I'm begging you. We need $20,000 to catch up the payments. I know you have it. I'll pay you back. I swear. You won't pay me back. You've never paid me back. And more importantly, I don't want to give it to you. How can you be so cruel? I'm your daughter. You're the daughter who told me I'd be homeless, who laughed about it, who called me useless and selfish, who cut me out of your life because I wouldn't fund your lifestyle anymore. I was angry. I didn't mean it. Yes, you did. You meant every word. And now you're facing the consequences of living beyond your means, of expecting everyone else to bail you out, of treating people like ATMs instead of human beings. So you're just going to let your grandson become homeless? What kind of grandmother are you? That's when I felt the old guilt trying to creep back, the manipulation, the emotional blackmail. But then I remembered. Tyler had 2 parents, 2 capable adults who'd made terrible choices. This wasn't my responsibility to fix. Tyler has parents. You and Kevin need to figure this out. Get jobs. Find an apartment you can afford. File for bankruptcy if you need to. But I'm not giving you money. You'll regret this. When you're old and dying and need someone, I won't be there. Ashley, you've never been there. Not when I had surgery, not when I needed help, not once in your adult life. So threatening to withdraw something I've never had isn't much of a threat. I hung up. My hands were shaking, but not from weakness, from power. 4 weeks later, on a Tuesday morning in July, I had an appointment with my financial advisor. We were planning a trip to Italy for October, something I'd always dreamed of doing. The appointment was at 10. I was running a few minutes early, so I took a scenic route through a nice neighborhood I'd always liked. Tree-lined streets, well-maintained homes, the kind of place that looked like a magazine spread. I turned onto Maple Street, and that's when I saw it. The moving truck, the sheriff's vehicle, the furniture piled on the curb. I slowed down without meaning to. And then I saw the address, 847 Maple Street, Ashley's house. My heart started pounding. This was it. This was the eviction. And there they were. Kevin loading boxes into their car, his face red with effort or shame or both. Tyler sitting on the steps looking confused and scared. And Ashley standing on the front lawn crying, her hands covering her face. For one split second, I considered stopping. The mother in me, the trained, conditioned, sacrificial mother, screamed at me to stop. But then I remembered her voice on the phone. She'll be homeless soon anyway. The laugh that followed, the cruelty, the years of being used. I pressed down on the accelerator. The Mercedes glided past smoothly, silently, like it was made for moments like this. I didn't honk. I didn't wave. I just drove. I saw Ashley's head turn, saw her recognize the car, saw her mouth open in shock, or maybe to call out to me. I kept driving. I didn't look in the rearview mirror. I didn't circle back. I drove to my appointment, parked in the lot, and sat there for 5 minutes with my hands on the steering wheel, my heart racing. Had I done something terrible? Had I failed as a mother? No. I'd done something necessary. I'd chosen myself. Patricia noticed I was distracted during our meeting. "Everything okay, Diane?" I told her what had happened. She listened without judgment. "How do you feel?" she asked. "I don't know. Guilty? Satisfied? Sad? All of it?" "That's probably the right answer. She's still your daughter. It makes sense that this is complicated." "She did this to herself." "She did, and you didn't cause it, and you can't fix it." That became my mantra. I didn't cause it. I can't fix it. Brandon called that evening. Ashley called me crying, said you drove past their eviction and didn't stop. I did. He was quiet. Then, "Good." "Good? Mom, she's been cruel to you. She's been using you your whole life. You don't owe her rescue, especially not after everything she said." "But Tyler will be fine. They moved in with Kevin's mother. Ashley called me to cry about how horrible it is, but they have a roof over their heads. They're not on the street. They're just in a situation they don't like, that isn't fancy, that requires them to actually be humble for once." He was right. Over the next few weeks, I learned they were living in Kevin's mother's basement. Kevin got a job at a warehouse. Ashley got a job at a call center. They were working. They were surviving. They were doing what millions of people do every day, living within their means. The real moment of justice came 6 weeks later. I was at my book club, and one of the women mentioned her daughter-in-law worked with Ashley at the call center. "She complains all the time," the woman said, "about how unfair her life is, how her mother abandoned her, how she deserves better." I stayed quiet, but Patricia, who knew the whole story, gave me a look. "What happened?" another woman asked. I don't usually share my personal business with acquaintances, but something about that moment felt right. Maybe I needed to say it out loud. Maybe I needed witnesses to the fact that I'd made the right choice. I told them the story. Not everything, but the important parts. The years of giving, the cruelty, the statement about me being homeless, the eviction, driving past. The table was silent when I finished. Then Martha, a 72-year-old retired teacher, said, Good for you. Others nodded, shared their own stories of being taken advantage of by adult children, of learning to set boundaries, of realizing that sometimes love means letting people face their own consequences. I realized I wasn't alone in this. I wasn't a bad mother. I was a human being who'd finally learned to value herself. That was the real justice, not seeing Ashley's suffering, but understanding that my worth wasn't determined by how much I could give away, that I deserved to enjoy the life I'd worked so hard to build. That saying no to people who hurt me wasn't selfish, it was survival. It's been 3 months since the eviction. Ashley hasn't called. According to Brandon, she and Kevin are still working their entry-level jobs, still living with his mother, still struggling but surviving. Tyler started school at a new district. By all accounts, he's adjusting fine. Kids are resilient in ways we sometimes forget. I'm not waiting for an apology. I don't think it's coming, and I'm not sure I'd accept it if it did. Some things can't be unsaid. Some cruelties can't be forgiven, at least not without genuine change, and Ashley has never shown any capacity for real self-reflection. As for me, I'm thriving in ways I never thought possible. I'm leaving for Italy in 2 weeks. 3 weeks in Tuscany, staying in a villa, taking cooking classes, visiting museums. I'm going alone, and I'm not scared. I'm excited. My book club has become one of my favorite parts of the week. Patricia and I go to concerts now, something I'd never done before. Last month, we saw the symphony. I cried during a Vivaldi piece, and I wasn't even sure why. Maybe because I'd spent so long being numb, and now I was feeling everything. Brandon and his family are coming to visit for Thanksgiving. Just them, not Ashley. It will be the first holiday in years where I'm not walking on eggshells trying to keep peace, managing everyone's expectations except my own. I drive my Mercedes every day, and every day it makes me smile. Not because it's expensive or fancy, but because it represents a choice I made for myself, because it's beautiful, and I decided I deserved beautiful things. Sometimes, late at night, I think about that moment on Maple Street, about Ashley's face when she saw me drive past, about whether I should have stopped. And every time, I come to the same conclusion. No, I made the right choice. She wanted me to be homeless. She laughed at the idea of my suffering. She spent my love like currency and expected endless refills from a bank that was running dry. I drove past because I had somewhere to be. I had a life to live. I had dreams to chase and happiness to find. I drove past because I finally understood that you can't set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm, especially when they're the one holding the match. I'm 68 years old, and for the first time in my life, I'm choosing me. Not in a selfish, destructive way, but in a healthy, necessary way. I'm choosing peace over chaos, joy over obligation, self-respect over guilt. The Mercedes still runs beautifully, so does my life. And if that makes me a bad mother in Ashley's eyes, then I suppose I'm a bad mother, but I'm a happy woman, and after 43 years of sacrifice, I think I've earned that. I didn't cause her eviction. I didn't create her problems. I simply refused to fix them. And when I drove past that day, I wasn't running away. I was driving towards something better, toward the life I'd always deserved but never claimed. That's not cruelty. That's justice. And it's mine.